So perm day one, how common is that?
Vary. Most companies will have a 6 month, 1 year, or 2 year waiting period for their perm. Some of the big companies had at least a soft day one policy. So you could, for example, ask most of the FANG companies to consider it, and they would actively consider it. But it is much more common to have a little bit of a waiting period. For people who have a need, though, so people in their fourth year of H-1B, for example, most of them can convince their employer to make an exception for them. It is costly for the employer to do the perm, but those costs are spread out across a 2 year period. So getting that started is not the huge financial investment that a lot of companies seem to paint the picture that it is. Like you can get a perm started for a couple $1,000s and then take it a couple steps at a time.
So if it doesn't cost that much to start perm, why do so few companies do it? And if you do get an offer from a company that refuses to do that in this current environment, wouldn't it make sense to go and work with an employer who will start it as soon as possible, given just how many issues are going on right now with perm?
I mean, this is just a big negotiation game, though. So there's negotiations between the company and their lawyers. Sometimes the law firm does require full payment of the perm up front, although not all law firms do. A lot of law firms will allow for the stage by stage billing. So that's one negotiation that's going on. And then another is internally in the employer, like how resources are being allocated among teams, what the budget is for immigration and perm sponsorship and all of that. A lot of engineering teams do have set budgets. And so if they make a new hire that messes up the budget, they have to go get internal approvals for that. And then there's a negotiation with the employee and the employer. Obviously, the employee wants it started as soon as possible because it's taking so long that any delays uh, could be catastrophic for the ultimate end result. And that could be at no fault of the employee at all. The employer could find what's called a minimally qualified U.S. worker. Process gets canceled. There could be a typo on the perm. Process gets canceled. Like so many things can go wrong in the perm process. But yeah, I mean, if an employee is in the third year of H-1B and the new company is not going to start the perm for 6 months, maybe they are going to take the job because at least 6 months is better than Q1 of January 2025, maybe. But I would recommend to that employee to still be looking during those 6 months, and maybe do a little bit of job hopping to find an employer who actually will support the perm from day one. It's not a small thing for people who are midway through H-1B. It is probably the most important determining factor on whether that person's going to be able to stay in the US. So companies should not take that lightly and shouldn't have hard line policies that can't be adjusted for the individual situation.